Hi everyone, welcome back to another podcast. We've decided to change the name from Walk the Push to Rebuilding Lives Through SCI. We're hoping this will create a bit more attention in the search when you or someone searches up spinal cord injuries. Hopefully this pops up and it's a lot easier and gets a lot more exposure to our channel.
We've also done a whole new design. It looks pretty cool looking too.
So on this episode we're going to talk about accessibility. Um, just accessibility with wheelchairs and what we've discovered so far.
It's been sort of ingrained with us now. Everywhere we go, we're always thinking, could Ethan's wheelchair fit down here? Can he do this with us anymore? Do we have to, try and find something else that we can do? But most places have been sort of wheelchair accessible, not fully.
Yeah, and we've had our ups and downs with it all too.
Yes, we have decided now that even when we go to a hotel that says that they are wheelchair accessible, we are going to ring up and get them to send us the measurements first. Because when Ryan and Ethan and Dale went down to Brisbane earlier in the year, they got to a hotel on the Gold Coast that they paid for that was fully accessible, which was not actually. Ethan's wheelchair wouldn't even fit through the door.
Yeah, it was nowhere near accessible. Um, and I'm not going to name names, but it's a big name.
Hotel chain.
Hotel chain. And the problem was, look, I know the poor lady behind the counter, she was, devastated. But when she was running back and forth between the front counter and just behind the wall of the office, talking to the manager multiple times, and the manager not to come out and at least say, oh, sorry, or, whatever not. Obviously it's not their fault. They're just running the place. But for them to say it's a hotel accessible room and then turn around and say, oh, we can't get your money back to you for I think it was 28 days, but they put a push on that and it turned out to be about 2 weeks. But to pay $1,400, which I paid for 4 nights, is a bit of a hit out the pocket.
Especially when you've then got to find somewhere else that's accessible and then pay another, $1,000 plus.
So I'm going to mention a couple of places that we have stayed and have been really good accessibility wise. So the first one that blows my mind away with the amount of stuff they've done to make this accessible to everyone is Brisbane Gateway Resort. I could not speak highly enough of this room and the design. Literally, the only thing I could pick up on was probably the height of the bed. So with electronic beds, you've got the spaces for the legs. Well, they've just put, I think that comes with 5 spaces. They've just put the 5 on, and it made it really hard for Ethan to transfer because of the height difference out of the chair. Now, this was literally nitpicking this room. That's the only thing that we could come up with. Right down to having a pull-out tray underneath your oven, and a side swing oven, pull-out closet hangers that you pull this little chain, or no, it was a rod, and the coat hanger rod came down with it. This place was awesome. The staff there, absolutely lovely. We did have a problem with their toilet, and we actually damaged the toilet seat with Ethan's shower commode. But that morning, I just went back to the office and said, "Look, I was upfront and honest. That's the type of person I am." I said, "When we've removed his commode off the toilet, it's put 2 big gouges down the seat." And I thought, well, being a toilet seat, hygiene, germs, blah blah blah. But they were fine with that. Didn't get charged, and they appreciated that we were upfront and honest. But the location of this resort is just south of Brisbane, probably half an hour, 45 minutes into the city.
So sort of
Yeah.
between Brisbane and the Gold Coast.
Yeah. It was a two-bedroom unit. One queen in one room and two singles in the other. Like I said, this is the best one I've stayed in so far. Now, a recent trip to Townsville, we stayed in the Quest Townsville on Air. Once again, lovely hotel, nice and clean, respectable.
Brilliant staff.
Yeah, excellent location. Like literally a walk across the road, and you've got Coles, Macca's,
Hotel. Like, take your dinner.
yeah. What are they called? Subway. It's brilliant location.
Basically on the Strand. It's like a 5-minute drive from a 5-minute walk from the Strand.
Yeah. The only thing I could really think about this hotel is they've got a pool, which is great, but nothing really there for Ethan to or not just Ethan, but anyone in a wheelchair to transfer. Now, I'm sure people with years of experience of being in a chair have got more experience in transferring from, floors or pools to floors and into chairs. But Ethan being new to the whole situation, it was quite difficult. But we got him there and he enjoyed a couple of swims in the pool, which was great.
He used the sunbeds to transfer. So he transferred to the side of the pool and then from the side of the pool to the sunbed and then from the sunbed to his chair. So he worked it out.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that we've spoken about this place before, but I'm going to mention it again. When Ethan came back to Mackay, well, no, sorry, came back to Mackay Base Hospital and he was transferred out of there. He was put into the Shores Holiday Apartments in Mackay. Now, I think they've only got one accessible room, I think. It's not too bad. It served its purpose. Put a roof over his head and it was accessible. Extra wide doors. It was just a nice little unit, all in all.
Beachfront too, basically.
Yeah. Once again, they've got pools. I didn't really take much notice of accessibility in the pools, but
It was too cold anyway.
yeah, it was middle of winter, which is really not really winter, but
Too cold for us.
yeah, too cold for us. Now we've acclimatised. And the last one of all is the mantra in Mackay. We didn't see this room, but Ethan said, brilliant. So we're just got to take his word on that.
He speaks very highly of it. He
Yeah.
loved it. He booked it for himself and his then girlfriend for one night. And he just said everything about it was awesome.
Yeah. So since all this, Makisha's found a page on Facebook called the Accessible. Oh, I can't
The
even say it.
accessible group.
The Accessible Group. Thank you.
So people put on their accessible accommodations and experiences so that they can, share with everyone and we can learn about different places. So the people will just put up like where they've been. The first one that pops up just as just an example is East Beach in Kiama, New South Wales. So they'll write that they've been there, that it's got a nice low graduate ramp, spacious comfy beds, big bathrooms. Just give you a review of where they stayed and how accessible it was. So there's quite a few on there. They also share things like companies that they've come across that are accessible.
Now, this has caught my eye. Ethan and, Makisha and I, our dream was to travel Australia in a buy a caravan, full drive, and just, set off. Now, obviously, this whole situation hasn't stopped us, but it may have delayed our dream. Now, it's actually quite surprising to know that the major caravan manufacturers don't make accessible caravans. This has blown my mind. So you got Jayco, all the major players. They don't make accessible vans. It was quite interesting. So after a bit of research, I did come across a company in Victoria. Now, the lady I'd been speaking to absolutely went out of her way. Lovely person. She even gave me a call back to see if I'd got her emails and etc. Now I'm just trying to find. Yeah, so the place in Victoria is called Evolution Caravans. Um, give Ellen a call if you're after an accessible van. Give her a call. She's the most amazing person I've spoken to over the phone. They're pretty much custom built from the chassis up. Everything's Australian built and Australian owned, which is great to know. She said the only thing that doesn't come or isn't made in Australia, sorry, is the ramp, the access ramp. So it's basically like a on the back of your wheelchair accessible taxis where you've got that ramp that comes out, it lifts them up into the van. It's basically like that, but put onto the side of the caravan. Now,
These caravans are elite too. By the
yeah,
emails that she sent, looking at the pictures from the outside, you'd never know that they're an accessible caravan.
yeah.
As you go in, though, they're so spacious. The bathrooms are, for a caravan, they're pretty big.
And also, if you're on NDIS, there is a way of getting the modifications under NDIS, I believe she was saying. So modifications like your bathroom, your bed, the ramp also. So, like I said, give Ellen a call from Evolution Caravans in Victoria, and she'll talk to you about the whole process. Um, but eventually, maybe down the track, we'll definitely look at getting one. There is a bit of a wait because, like I said, it is Australian built and it is built from the chassis up. So she said you're looking at probably about 6 to 9 months, I think, from the start. Now, a lot of that would be paperwork to start off with and designing. But hey, at the end of the day, you've got a fully accessible caravan, which I think if you're going to travel or if you're going to, say, in our case, we live in Mackay, we go down to Brisbane, not as much as we'd like, but now we've got this opportunity to could have this chance of travelling more. It would be easier for us just to hook up the caravan and travel down to Brisbane, stay there in a powered site, then finding the hassle of finding somewhere, and because not a lot of places have many accessible rooms. Like we've discovered that trip down to Brisbane, I spent probably
Hours.
yeah, yeah, like Makisha said, hours, and after multiple phone calls asking, "Do you have accessible rooms?" and it's actually blown my mind. Like today's era, there's not a lot of people that actually cater for.
I think some people didn't even know what he meant when he asked about an accessible room. They're like what?
Yeah, yeah. So it's actually opened our eyes a lot to this whole situation.
On that accessible group page that I found as well, they're also advertising if you want to go on a holiday over New Zealand company Milner Mobility, they actually hire out camper vans that are fully accessible, so that you can still travel around New Zealand, and it's got everything in it. So it's an accessible four-berth camper van for hire.
And the accessibility is through the rear, so
It's fully self-contained. It has accessible shower and toilet, electric mobility sofa bed, place for the wheelie up front for the driver's cab, so the driver can actually drive as well. So it is $488.75 per night with a minimum of 5 nights and a bond of $3,000. But it
gives you the chance to travel New Zealand in comfort and in a fully accessible motorhome.
It's got standing hoists, hand controls, hydraulic lifts. Just a lot, like anchor points.
It looks pretty good. But yeah, like I said, go onto the Facebook page that we keep on harping on about and have a look. Opening this up to people will possibly help because we were in the same boat. But now we've been exposed to this life. We are discovering more and more each day.
Yeah, because we're looking out for things now that we never even would have spend a minute thinking about beforehand.
Yeah, just like, is that accessible? Can Ethan get there? Is that wheelchair friendly? Stuff like that. Obviously, we weren't blind to this. Yeah, we're not.
But we were.
We're not naive people, and we understand. People have got. I don't like saying the word, but disabilities. Being, one being in a wheelchair, and but we didn't really take much notice. Like, obviously, we took notice, but we didn't really consider it.
Like when we go out to dinner now, our first thought is it wheelchair accessible? Can we still go to this place?
So now that we've been exposed to this life, or Ethan's life, sorry, not our life, but our son's life, we have just become so more vigilant. It's not funny. I suppose it's like when you buy a car. Say I go buy a VE Commodore in a red colour, then you don't really notice that red VE Commodore on the road until you've actually got one. Then you're driving down the road and you say, "Oh, there's a red VE Commodore." It's sort of like the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Even when we're buying cars now or looking at cars, even sofas and stuff like that, our first thoughts are, can Ethan get in it? Is it the right height? Is it going to be too soft? Like when it comes to a couch or whatnot? Can he transfer on and off?
yeah, it's all these different things. Um, so a couple of weeks ago, Ethan had the opportunity to get behind this driver's wheel again. Now, if you follow our Facebook page, you'll see photos and videos on there. Well, he had a ball. He passed the test. Now it's just waiting on modifications to his car. That's probably about a 6-week wait. But he's decided to go with a Bluetooth controller. So this Bluetooth controller sits in your left hand, and that's your accelerator. On the right-hand side, under the indicator stalk, is his brake lever. So that's a lever that's connected to the brake pedal, comes up the steering column, and it's just like a paddle that he pushes for the brake. There's a dead man switch in the glove box, so if he has a leg spasm on his right leg, his foot can't actually accelerate the car because that accelerator now is dead. But
I think the best thing about it too is that able-bodied people can still drive
yeah,
with the Bluetooth. That the car, the car that's been modified.
yeah. So thanks to Jess from Enhanced Health and Mobility Modification Services in Townsville. They're the one doing the modifications. Thank you for the opportunity and the driving school.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. It's a driving school next to the Cowboys Stadium. So if you know, you know.
Yeah, they are. They have only got one car that's modified, and that will be taken off the road. I think it's actually off the road now from up to a month. They're changing the controls over to a larger car because Ethan's got quite a tall lad. He's what, 6'2".
Yeah.
It was a struggle for him to get in, and especially because obviously he doesn't have use of his legs, it was more of a struggle. So they are changing the car over to a larger car to accommodate
Taller people.
and to make it easier. So that will be off the road, and I think it's off the road now by memory. But unfortunately, Mackay doesn't have one. Their car actually got stolen, and now people have to travel to Townsville for their lessons. But anyway,
I mean, it puts a little bit out the way. It's a 4.5 hour drive, but
yeah, get a bit of a holiday, get away from Mackay for a bit. But thanks to those guys for making Ethan's life a bit more freer.
yeah, it gives him back some of his freedom.
Yeah, a bit more independence.
Yeah, that's the word, independence.
But I really can't think of anything else to talk about accessibility wise. That's really what comes to mind.
if anyone's got anything that they want to add where they know is accessible that they've been to or that they've heard is good, feel free to write it in the comments.
Yeah, please, guys, leave comments.
It really helps us out.
Yeah, because we're sort of looking at these podcasts thinking, oh, not many people are really watching these or listening to these. We're trying to
bring awareness to
yeah,
spinal cord injury, but we need more interaction from people.
yeah, and it's just, and sorry, Auntie Sue, you're the only one that really comments on these videos. I appreciate that, but I'd like to get more comments from other people as well. Don't worry, Auntie Sue, I love your comments, but yeah, that's pretty much all we've got on this podcast. We're only really touching base on accessibility, but yeah, if you got anything, please, like Keisha said, please leave comments, hit the like button, and don't forget to share.
And subscribe if you haven't already.
Yeah. Also, once again, mental health. You're not okay. It's okay to be not okay.
Definitely. So just remember that if you need to talk, speak up. No one can help you if you don't ask.
You're going to make the first step, but you can also be the first step by going up to someone asking, hey, are you okay? I will leave links to the places that we have mentioned, especially the hotels and the resort that we stayed in. That will be put in the description. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you on the next one. See ya.